Kpaceguy here. Welcome back to episode 5 of 7 Reasons Why. This episode will be 7 reasons why you should get a bookshelf speaker over a tower speaker. And we'll be unboxing this big box together as well. Let's get into it. So before we start this 7 reasons why, I do want to announce that we will not be unboxing and putting together what this box was holding because it's damaged. So I told you guys I was getting a computer desktop because I'm going to start building some kind of PC gaming system or whatever over time. And the first step was getting a computer desk, and I had a nice glass desk, and unfortunately the last glass piece in the box was completely shattered. So I just got off the phone with the site that I ordered it on, and they told me to go ahead and return it, dump out the glass out of the box, and put all the other pieces back in the box, and to try to get a return label from the seller, and then get a refund for it, and I can get another one or whatever. So kind of disappointed in that because I was really looking forward to having this because there's a space in my living room here that's completely empty, completely bare, and I was going to use that space to start a little desktop station. So a little unfortunate, but that's not going to stop us here. So let's get right back into what we're actually here for. So the first reason number 7 that you should get bookshelf speakers over tower speakers is simply wife acceptance factor. We all have girlfriends eventually, we all have wives. And if you're a female viewer, then maybe you do not care. But usually the wife doesn't want a whole bunch of speakers just chilling in the room, especially the bigger they get. Even though usually the bigger they are, the better looking they are. But still, they don't care about that. It's a giant rectangular box in the middle of their living room. They don't like that. But a bookshelf speaker is pretty much less than half the size of a tower speaker, so you can still get pretty good sound from a bookshelf speaker and please your wife at the same time. So you can it's kind of like a win-win. Your wife's happy, you're still getting dinner cooked at night, and you're getting to listen to your music and movies at some good sound. So reason number 7 is definitely gonna have to be wife acceptance factor. Now reason number 6 is gonna have to be price and having extra money to buy something else. So like I said, bookshelves are usually half of a big tower, but not necessarily half the sound. So you can go and get a whole bookshelf system for way cheaper than you could if you got a whole bunch of towers and a single channel speaker. You could have a full bookshelf home theater and save yourself a lot of money. That way you can go out and get a new TV, or you can get some separates like an amplifier or a power conditioner, things like that to really help your sound system. You don't really lose a lot of sound. Really what you sacrifice when you get a bookshelf is bass, but there's ways around that. So getting a bookshelf system is a lot cheaper than getting some floor standers, getting a large center, and maybe some people are running 7.2, 7.1. They don't want a whole bunch of floor standers around the room, so they'll get bookshelves, and might as well get bookshelves for the front stage too. And it's really convenient and a lot easier on your budget, a lot easier on your wallet. So for me, reason number 6 is gonna have to be price. Reason number 5 for me is going to have to be pairs. And what do I mean by pairs? It kind of goes along with the price. So with pairs, when you go get a bookshelf, unless you're getting like a really high-end bookshelf speaker, they usually come in pairs. And so you're saving even more money that way because you're only paying one time for one speaker. Now, like I said, you might be getting a high-end, so some of the speakers are sold each. So you may pay $800 for each bookshelf speaker opposed to $800 for 2. And that way it's a little more cost-effective. So you can go ahead and get a left and a right speaker for $850 versus getting their matching towers for $2,000 that may not even come in a pair. I know a lot of companies where bookshelf speakers come in a pair, but their tower speakers don't. And usually they have a different line of tower speakers, but don't really have a different line of bookshelf speakers. You don't really have to pay for one, you pay for 2. Now there are times when you do have to pay for a couple of speakers, but usually you don't. So reason number 5 is going to be pairs. Reason number 4 is going to have to be room friendly. And what do I mean by room friendly? Bookshelves are a very small footprint, and you can place them almost anywhere you want to. But they're not just room friendly in their compact size, they're room friendly with sound and calibration. Now, like I said in a couple other points, bookshelf speakers are a little less on the bass. And bass is probably one of the hardest things to calibrate, contain, and manage. So bookshelf speakers are easy to tune in, easy to dial in. They all, when you get matching speakers, your acoustics are all going to sound the same. It's not, you're going to still have to deal with reflections and things like that. That's in any speaker, bouncing off the walls if you don't have any treatment. But managing that bass is so much easier because there's not so much to deal with. So having a bookshelf speaker is room friendly in that aspect, but it's also room friendly because it can be used in any room. You can have a small room and put small bookshelf speakers. Or you can have a 2-channel listening room and use bookshelf speakers. You can have a big room and get some pretty powerful 200-watt bookshelf speakers and do this fine. My Polka Audio 703 bookshelf speakers are phenomenal sounding, even as your front main stage. I have listened to them, and I will again on this channel, listen to them in 2-channel stereo, or swap them out. I swapped out my Polks and used those for a movie, and they sounded good and had a pretty good low end. No subwoofer needed, unless you really want that thunder. So they're really room friendly. You can do a lot with bookshelf speakers. That's going to be reason number 4. Reason number 3 is timbre matching. Timbre as in T-I-M-B-R-E. Timbre matching. And what is timbre? Timbre is the quality of sound. So when I speak, you notice my voice. But if, say, Janet Jackson speaks, you'll know her voice. Or if you hear piano play a note and then hear a guitar play the same note, you'll know which one's a piano, which one's a guitar, based off their timbre, their quality of sound. And with bookshelf speakers, they are really good with timbre matching, because when you have a giant tower like this one to my left, you have a lot more cabinet space. There's a lot more resonance, there's a lot more bass in it. But when you have a bookshelf speaker, you don't have that long side like you do a tower. So the acoustic properties of my tower speakers are completely different than any of my speakers in my setup, even though they're matched to each other because they're using the same drivers and the same technology, probably the same crossover technology, probably the same tweeter and the woofer material, but they're not using the same cabinet space. These are different. These are bracketed off. Each cabinet has is closed off depending on where your woofer is. And it's the same thing with a bookshelf speaker, but there's not enough space. So it's gonna sound different just because of that. So timbre matching is easier because a bookshelf speaker is all gonna be the same. You can timbre match with towers too, but you'll have to get all towers. So timbre matching with a bookshelf and the Floorstanding speaker, you're gonna have your vocals and your music sound the same, but when you get to the lower end where the bookshelves can't reach, that's where you're gonna have a different property of sound. So reason number 3 is gonna have to be timbre matching. Now reason number 2 and reason number 1 are going to be my favorite 2 reasons, and probably the biggest 2 reasons of all 7. And reason number 2 is going to have to be musicality and its ability to be paired with a subwoofer. Now, musicality, I'm not saying that a tower speaker isn't musical, because they are. But when you see a listening system, you usually see small bookshelves because they're tight on bass. Their vocals are really, really good. Their mid-range isn't overpowered, it's not too bloated. It's usually a really sweet sound for voices and guitars and pianos and things that really don't dig that low. You're not really listening to anything that really demands a lot of bass. Bookshelf speakers seem to be perfect with that. If you do choose to pair it up with a subwoofer in your music listening system, a small 8-inch, 10-inch subwoofer does just fine because an 8-inch, 10-inch subwoofer is usually really, really tight on bass, really accurate, and a bookshelf being that small is going to be accurate as well, but it doesn't dig as low, doesn't play as loud at low volumes. If you're using it for a home theater system, you're going to want to pair it with a subwoofer for sure. 10 inches or higher, no doubt. You're going to want to cross your bookshelf speakers 80, maybe 100, maybe 120 hertz. I know some LFE tracks and movies go up to 120 hertz, so you might want to cross it up there. I'd probably cross mine 80 or 90 depending on which ones that I had. My Polk Audios go down to like 55, maybe 50, 45 hertz, so I can cross it over about 60, 65 if I wanted to. But a good sweet spot is 80 and have it roll off to the subwoofer. And it sounds so good. The blend is so nice. You don't have to worry about matching your towers to yourself because it's harder. Towers, it's really hard to pick a crossover for your towers because your towers are able to play at a much lower frequency usually than your bookshelf speakers. So you don't know if you should cross this over at full range or 60 or 40 or 80 because there's so much bass in them that you may be able to get 60 hertz, 55, 45 hertz out of them without straining them. Bookshelf speakers, on the other hand, need a subwoofer if you're going to have them for your home theater application. You can get away with not having one in your listening system depending on what kind of music you're listening to. But having an 8-inch, 10-inch to be next to its side sounds great. It really does sound great. So that's going to be my second favorite reason. Reason number 2. The final reason in episode 5 of 7 reasons why you should have a bookshelf over towers is going to have to be simply size. And you guys knew it was coming eventually. I've been mentioning it throughout all of my reasons. Size, how small they are, and the wife acceptance factor, things like that. If you're not in a big room, you don't have a big budget, these speakers work. They don't cost too much unless you're going way up there. Their size is small. Throw them on some Floorstanding or throw on some stands, you're fine. I have all 4 of my bookshelves for surround sound speakers are on stands, and my stands come in pairs just like most bookshelf speakers do, and they don't cost too much. There's some as cheap as $20 a pair for stands. If you really want some fancy ones, you can get up there in price, 60, 80, even over 100, 200, depending on who you're getting it from and what it's made out of. But you can get some stands, throw your bookshelves on them. Stands are usually all going to be around the same height, 28 inches, 26 inches, maybe some goes in the 30s, 24 inches. But usually stands are made at a fixed height. Some you can adjust. They're usually for satellite speakers. But you get some bookshelf speakers and put them on stands, and you can place them a little farther back against the wall. Not too much though. You don't want any room boundary compensation, no boundary gain. But you can place them in the back of the room, you can put them on the side of the room, and they're not so much of an eyesore. They're all at the same height, they're usually around your ear level, so they sound great. They're all hitting at you around the same time after you've run your calibration, things like that. So size is the #1 reason probably why people go bookshelf speakers. If it's not #1, it's #2. People don't want to spend a lot of money, but they want good sound, so they'll go get bookshelves. People want a listening system, not a home theater, they'll get bookshelves. People don't want giant speakers in their living room or in their dining space, wherever you're listening at, so they'll go ahead and get bookshelves. So the #1 reason out of the 7 reasons is going to be size. So there you have it, guys. That's going to be 7 reasons why you should get bookshelf speakers over tower speakers. I'm personally always going to have tower speakers in all my listening systems because I just love tower speakers. I'm old-fashioned. I like the bulky look, not too bulky. A mixture of size and elegance and beauty. I like that look. I like my system to look as good as it sounds. So I'm always going to have bookshelves in all my systems from here on out. I'll have towers as well. You see I have towers in the back. Having towers in the back is not a bad thing either. It's a lot of sound, maybe overkill, but it's doable. It's a thing. It's a thing. So, but if you like this video, make sure you leave me a comment down below. Are you running bookshelf speakers, or were you running tower speakers, or are you running a mixture? Do you have 1 listening room or 2 listening rooms? What's in your second listening room? And in my main listening room I got towers, in my second listening room I'm gonna have towers too. So what are you guys listening on? So let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Kpaceguy out.